I think when you talk to industry leaders or executives who say, you ask them, why are you in Ottawa? They'll point to companies like that and they'll say, we see a lot of attention and hype around companies like BlackBerry QNX and Shopify, and we want to be part of that. We want to build on that. We want to say, hey, there's talent here, and that's something I really respect, and I think it's a great mission to have. I think there is a danger sometimes, though, in blindly following companies like this. We recently did a story right here on BlackBerry QNX. Facing competition, their market share is decreasing a little bit, and the loss potentially of a Toyota contract recently kind of pointed to that there are alternatives, and just because we've gotten a lot of momentum behind BlackBerry QNX, behind Shopify, doesn't mean that there isn't significant competition, and from a global scale of companies. Every company today is global. You're competing with anyone and everyone in automotive, in autonomous drive, in e-commerce especially. I mean, e-commerce has been just completely overthrown in the past week with Amazon purchasing Whole Foods to acquire Whole Foods. So these are consistently evolving fields, and Ottawa has done a great job so far, I think, in putting its name forth as, somewhere to be, somewhere to talk about. But I really, it's easy to get caught up in the hype. And I think it's one of my jobs and our jobs here at Techopia to sometimes cut through that hype and bring people back and say, we want to talk about BlackBerry QNX. Let's talk about the whole story. Let's talk about the competition they are facing. I still believe that BlackBerry QNX is a leader, and the analysts I talk to agree that this is a leader in the space. But I think it's really important to be realistic about the competition that they're facing, and that can only, I think, make us better as a hub, as a technology city, if we're realistic about the threats and the competition we face.
Absolutely. Now, looking forward, maybe there's another story or maybe a topic that you want to talk about a little bit from what's been key over the last 6 months, but maybe you can let me know, how do you feel of how the future looks over the next 6 months that could relate to these similar industries, but maybe an industry that's coming around. I mean, once again, we've had phenomenal growth, like just the investment into companies that's right here within our city, right here within the innovation center. Just to think of FarmLead, for example, that's once again just this, not necessarily just disruptors within their vertical, but also have said, hey, you know what, have changed the mind frame of how people look at those various industries. Yes, and that's what I love about a company like FarmLead. They have suddenly put so much emphasis on just the agricultural industry, and it's right here, and it makes people look at it, and it's open up that, hey, listen, we can help create more innovation in that aspect. We can create more companies within there. There is more opportunities within there, even within the health field, and then of course artificial intelligence. And I mean, it's one after the other. So maybe give me a little bit of insight whether you think there's one more topic with regards to over the last 6 months, and then maybe how the next 6 months look.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just do a quick kind of highlight. You're right, FarmLead, $6.5 million in funding for them just a couple months ago. Member 365 just graduated from LSpark, and they've just landed a nice seed round. Clipfolio started this month, landed a big Series B, and they're moving into the World Exchange Plaza, the old movie theater, in the fall, and I'm excited to Alan, get us in there. We want to see what it's like in there. Once you're ready. But yeah, you're right. That's one of the things that we can point to, aside from Shopify and BlackBerry QNX, that there is investment coming into Ottawa. That's something that you can financially put a figure behind and say, you know what, there's reason to invest in Ottawa, and that's an encouraging thing from the industry to see. Other venture capitalists and VC funds coming to Ottawa. Mistral Ventures just raised another round. They're going to go for a second go at it. So yeah, one of the things I'm actually really excited about coming up for the rest of the year and already has been gaming in Ottawa. And that's kind of a personal bias of mine. I love gaming, but there have been some opportunities for me to explore like what's going on in gaming. I talked to Iversoft at the beginning of this year, and we had Vicky on Techopia Live to talk about the cool expansion plans they have. They acquired Jelly Smeared Games. They're looking for new office. They're going for triple revenue growth, and that's amazing. Another one I recently profiled in the most recent print issue we did was Bendy and the Ink Machine by the Meatly Games. And they're very cool. They've gone viral on YouTube. You've got YouTubers like Markiplier playing their game, and they've landed big merchandising deals. They've got like this crazy amount of momentum, and it's a very inventive game. I played it myself just so I can walk the walk and talk the talk. But it's a very cool game, and they've just gone viral. They've got this instant success, so it's amazing to see the gaming success in Ottawa, which is not a gaming town. We don't have like a Ubisoft like Edmonton and Montreal have these big AAA developers. So it's really cool to see what is going on, because there is stuff going on in gaming in Ottawa. And in November, we're going to see the Canadian Video Game Awards are going to come here. So it's going to be another chance to spotlight hopefully Ottawa's role in gaming, and I'm very excited for that one. One of the more, I guess you could say, troubling or worrisome stories from the past 6 months and beyond is Dragon Wave. Dragon Wave out in Canada is a developer of microwave, Wi-Fi technologies, and they've been threatened in the past 2 years or so with really vastly declining revenues after a partnership with Nokia dried up. And you look at the graphs, and it's like a 50% decrease in revenue year over year every year, and now they're being threatened with being delisted from the NASDAQ exchange, and they keep getting extensions and extensions. It's now October that they've got to make up the shareholders' equity, $2.5 million, and that's I think something that worries people in Ottawa, to see Dragon Wave, a real beast in Ottawa of the telecom talent and industry here, which is still a place. 5G technologies is something that Dragon Wave and Mitel, a lot of Sengen, a lot of the telecom players in Ottawa are really interested in that, and I feel like Dragon Wave is really trying very hard to capitalize on that next wave. And it's only a question of will they make it? Will they keep going and keep getting these extensions, eventually turning it around and getting that shareholders' equity back? But I think in the next 6 months we're going to see a lot more developments on that, and I'm cautiously optimistic. They just landed a very big contract with Smart Sky to provide like in-flight Wi-Fi, so some very cool technology there, and it's those little things that give you hope. But we'll see what happens to Dragon Wave for the next few months.
Thank you for that. I love the fact that, because I know you have those hard conversations with these companies. Well, it's not always about the best and boldest things that's happening. And if you're watching this at the moment, we're here on Techopia today talking with our editor, Craig Lord, which is also a co-producer of this show, and getting a little bit of insight with regards to what's happened over the last 6 months, some of the biggest stories, but also how the year looks moving forward. I think what's been great about being on Techopia is the fact that we have had the opportunity to see companies share even acquisitions. I think that was another key thing. There seem to have been some acquisitions over the last little while, showing that there's some international interest in companies that's here, but also companies that's making that need to expand and get bigger. How do you feel? What were some of the big stories even in there? Maybe what do you think could come up?
Yeah, the biggest one is Halogen. We lost Halogen after 21 years in Ottawa to Saba, a California-based company, acquired them for about $300 million. And, there's, at last count, around 400 people employed in Halogen in Ottawa. We had a great speech from David Ross, our CEO of the year last year, talking about the need to really grow strong Ottawa companies, homegrown companies, and it's been. I think Telepin also was acquired by a Mississauga-based company, so it's not. I won't say it's disconcerting, but it's definitely an area that is under discussion. should we be selling our companies or should we be trying to grow them? We had Ed Bryant of Sanford Advisors on a couple months ago, and he was a very strong proponent and defender of grow your company and sell it. There's nothing wrong with that because you're still attracting money and investment attention to Ottawa, and that's absolutely a fair stance on it. And I'm not going to go one way or another on it. But yeah, there's definitely acquisition talk of companies acquiring as well. I mean, Shopify hasn't gotten into the acquisition game yet this year, but they're definitely set up for acquisitions. Mitel is set up for acquisitions, so I think in the next 6 months we will maybe hear something from one or both of those companies that they'll be looking to acquire again. But one of the other things, actually, I want to mention before we turn it away is one of the things I'm excited about is Factory, PH Factory. This is Andrew Pelling, the University of Ottawa TED Fellow. He grew an ear on an apple. If you didn't know. It was pretty cool. And he's starting this thing called Factory, and it's a risk as a service. We had Spencer join us for Techopia Live, and I think this is a very cool idea, risk as a service, to just have these audacious ideas and try to make them happen. I think that's one of the attitudes that Ottawa does well, is audacious, and I'm excited to see what projects come from that, because it could be anything, and I want to see how companies take advantage of it, this new kind of concept. So that's one of the other things I'm really excited about this year.
Yes. And I think one more topic that we have definitely covered quite a bit is the whole talent pool aspect of things. I mean, once again, we hear that coming up frequently and consistently. We have so many companies that's growing, so many companies that's growing fast as well. We have had that come up in conversations, maybe not an official story, quote unquote, about it, but how do you feel about that aspect of things, and how's that conversation's been taking place?
Talent is always, it seems the past 3 years at least, on the topic of Ottawa businesses. And we did look at it a little bit in November about whether we have a talent gap. It's kind of yes, kind of no. We have businesses that desperately need talent, desperately want to hire, and that's a sad problem to have, is when you want to grow but you don't find the talent there. The other side of things is that our universities in Ottawa are doing really well, pumping out graduates. We just can't keep hold of them, and why that is a bit of a kind of up in the air. I talked to Luc Lalonde, who was recently of University of Ottawa, and he said that it's more of a, maybe classified as a talent mismatch, that we are pumping out graduates, people who are in computer science, that kind of thing, but once they've gone through the degree, the curriculum that they've learned is out of date, which is crazy, which is just a reflection of how quickly technology is advancing in the world, and that companies like Clipfolio, Ross Video, they need graduates that have up-to-date skills, and it's crazy. One of the trends I'm really encouraged by, and I hate to bring up Shopify again, but they have a partnership with Carleton University where they're doing the Bachelor of Computer Science degree, but they're learning so much of their stuff at Shopify's offices in Ottawa. And I think that in-company education, Algonquin College has a very similar program with Shopify and with Siemens to do some manufacturing and engineering training. So I really love that idea of these businesses getting involved with educational institutes and taking the problem of talent cultivation into their own hands. That's something I'd love to see more of going forward, is businesses reaching out and saying, hey, you're training graduates for us. Let's have a hand in what they need to know and let you know that, we do need people who have this and this and this coding language, so that when your graduates graduate, they have jobs waiting for them, or connections with companies. Yeah, exactly. And cybersecurity is one of those industries that Ottawa is really trying to take advantage of now. So the more I think we get those connections going, the more we can work towards a solution for the talent gap in whatever form that talent gap actually exists.
Well, thank you very much for your insight, and I appreciate those of you that's watching this today. Once again, this is Techopia Live. Today you see the recorded version of it because we wanted to make sure that we showcase some insight for you with regards to what's happening at Techopia, what's happened over the last 6 months, some of the top stories, but also what's happening and could happen over the next 6 months. Here behind me, you can see the printed version of our quarterly Techopia. We also get, obviously, a weekly update on our newsletter if you haven't done that just yet. And of course, you can go on to techopia.ca to get daily updates on tech news that's happening for you. But also join us every Monday right here as we explore and discuss more about the tech industry with local entrepreneurs and tech-savvy individuals. And also, time and again, our own editor himself, Craig. Thank you so much for making some time for us and sharing a little bit of your insight. As you can see, there's a lot happening. Stay tuned here, and we look forward to seeing you for our next Techopia Live.